I am Anil Kumar, sharing with you some tips about simple interest. Here is a communication and thinking question. The graph shows the amount of an investment earning simple interest. Explain how the graph will change for half the principal amount. So here we have a graph where time is on the x-axis and amount on the y-axis. Now it's a straight line starting at $200. So a straight line indicates simple interest. Now as we can see that there is a constant growth rate which can be found from the slope of the line. Now the question here is, explain how the graph will change for half the principal amount. So we can see that the principal amount is $200. Now if we do half of that, it should be $100, right? So one change is that the intercept on amount should be at 100, right? So at t equals to 0, there is investment of $100. Now first, before answering the question, let me share with you a common mistake. It seems that some students, they just draw the graph from 100 parallel to the line given. So they'll draw a graph like this, which will have kind of same slope, right? Thinking that since the rate of interest is same, the graph should have parallel lines. But truly speaking, rate of interest is same, but the line does not indicate rate of interest. It indicates what? Let's look into the formula and figure it out, right? So that is the most important thing, and that is why I'm sharing this question for you. Now, simple interest amount is equals to principal amount, whatever you invest, plus the interest on it, right? Interest is PRT, right? PRT. So, if you compare it with y equals to mx plus b, let me write y equals to mx plus b, which is the equation of a straight line, you will notice that slope actually is not r. Slope m is p times r. So therefore, if the principal becomes half and the rate remains the same, then the slope becomes half. Do you see that? So the slope of the line have to be half of what it was originally there, since the principal has been reduced to half the amount. So the lines will not be parallel. So that is kind of very important for us to understand. Now second part is how to draw this line indicating the simple amount interest for half the principal value. Well, one good thing is you could look into, let's say, doubling time. So we started with 200 and the doubling time is 20 years. So in 20 years the amount doubles, and that is totally dependent on the interest rate, right? So in the doubling time of 20 years the amount should double. So if you start with 100, in 20 years it should become 200, right? So that is our second point. Joining initial point, that means principal amount of $100 with $200 after 20 years gives us the graph. So we can draw in this, and that indicates the graph when we change the principal amount to half, right? As you can note from here, the slope of our line is half the slope of the original. Since now, what is the slope? For the same rate of interest, our principal is not p but p by 2. Do you see that? And therefore the slope is half, right? Half of the original, right? So that is kind of very important to understand. So now let's read the question once again. The graph shows the amount of an investment earning simple interest. Explain how the graph will change for half the principal amount. I think you got the answer. So graph will move down to half the amount, which is 100, and then constantly increase at a rate of half of the previous rate, right? So that is how you can answer the question, right? So that's an important thing to understand. I hope you appreciate it. Thank you, and all the best.